Hello and welcome to the second module of the Motainai Ambassadorial Training. In this module, we will discuss the connections between waste and climate change, its interconnectedness, global warming, the greenhouse gases, the effects and impacts of climate change in Africa. Before we start off this module, here is a brief message from the Managing Director and Founder of Motainai Africa, Mr. Ade Adewuyi. According to him, waste is a tool that can be used to combat the present climate change crisis experienced globally. Now, you might wonder how waste can be maximized as a tool to combat the adverse effects of climate change. We promise you will get to find out in this module. To begin, let's discuss climate change. What is climate change? Simply put, climate change is the long-term change in the average weather patterns that have come to define Earth's local, regional, and global climates. The climate of Africa is commonly known as dry and rainy seasons, which occur at different times across the continent. However, the impact of climate change can be observed in view of the variation in weather conditions. The rainy seasons either stretch beyond or fail to commence with observed regularity. This in turn has led to reduced rainfall or devastating floods, and the same can be said for dry seasons, which is evidenced by the rapid speed of desertification, devastating wildfires, rising sea levels, changing rainfall patterns, increased climate variability, the drying up of soils, and increased pests and disease. It is important to note that climate change would also impact sustainable development, political and economic sustainability across the African region. These human-produced temperature increases are commonly referred to as global warming. Global warming is the rise in global temperatures due to the combustion of greenhouse gases in our atmosphere. Simply put, the greenhouse gases trapped in the atmosphere are largely caused by our activities through the burning of fossil fuel, deforestation, burning of waste, amongst others. It is necessary to emphasize that these activities, which are still ongoing, have immensely damaged the Earth's ozone layer, which protects us from the impacts of the sun. The impacts of the greenhouse gases and ozone layer depletion can be felt through increasing global land-ocean temperatures, rising sea levels, severe ice losses at Earth's poles, lakes, frequent and severe changes in extreme weather conditions such as hurricane, heat waves, wildfires, droughts, flood, and so on. The impact of greenhouse gases and the ozone layer depletion globally is deeply concerning, particularly in and for Africa. We will learn about these issues next. Africa, with a predominantly warm climate, has recently got hotter in view of the recent and rapid climate changes. As earlier stated, the global warming is happening due to the greenhouse effect, with increased greenhouse gas emissions by human activities. It is necessary to emphasize that the greenhouse effect is a natural phenomenon and is beneficial to life on land and life in water. The greenhouse gases support life and keeps us warm. There are 5 primary greenhouse gases in the Earth's atmosphere, namely carbon dioxide, methane, ozone, water vapor, amongst others. Carbon dioxide and methane persist in the atmosphere for a very long time, and they are the 2 greenhouse gases of the greater concern. Burning of fossil fuels is a major cause of the greenhouse gases. When the greenhouse gases become so much in the environment, it depletes the ozone layer, which protects us from the harmful rays of the sun and exposes humans and life on land, life in water, and animals to the harmful rays of the sun, which may cause skin burn and even cancer. Now, how does waste play a role in this? Solid waste affects climate change primarily through landfill methane emissions, as the source of man-made methane gas is from landfills. The emission of methane gas happens when organic waste is left to decay anaerobically in landfills, which in turn produces methane gas. When organic waste decomposes, carbon dioxide and methane gas is created. Methane is created where there is no air present, while carbon dioxide is a natural product when anything rots in the air. Plastic waste produces greenhouse gas emissions during every stage of its life cycle. The production, extraction, and transportation of plastic is dependent on oil, gas, and coal. The production and disposal of plastics also releases tons of carbon emissions. Waste mismanagement systems, particularly transportation, incineration, is a huge contributor to the greenhouse gases. Another way waste affects climate change is when waste is burned. Lots of people burn their waste disregarding its polluting effects on the environment. When this happens, not only does it affect life on land and life in water, it also in turn worsens the climate situation, making it hotter. Africa, being a geographically and climatically exposed, with little or no mitigation measures to climate change, will be the hardest hit by climate change. This is because African society is very closely coupled with the climate system. Hundreds of millions of people depend on rainfall to grow their food and guarantee farming cycles. Also, the African climate system is controlled by an extremely complex mix of large-scale weather systems from many distant parts of the planet, and in comparison with almost all other inhabited regions, it is vastly understudied. There is a lack of uniformity in Africa's weather systems, which largely varies from region to region and in most situations from country to country. There is also a dearth of proper research into such systems and patterns, which affects its predictability. Also, the degree of expected climate change impact is large. Two of the most extensive land-based end-of-century projects decreases in rainfall anywhere on the planet occur over Africa. One over North Africa and the other over Southern Africa. Finally, the capacity for adaptation to climate change is low. Poverty equates to reduced choice at individual level, while governance systems generally fail to prioritize and act on climate warnings and situations. What are the possible ways to live sustainably and mitigate the impact of climate change in our environment? How can we live sustainably to reduce climate change impact? We will learn about this in the next module. Watch out for Module 3.